Hey, what's going on everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at how to set up a Ubiquiti Edgerouter. This is something that I've done a video on I think at least a couple times in the past, but figured it's 2024, almost 2025. We'll go ahead and update this video. So if you're completely unfamiliar with the Edgerouter, it is a line from Ubiquiti of just straight up routers that has been around for quite a long time now, and actually you can argue that it's pretty much at the end of its life. Ubiquiti has kind of neglected it over many years now. There's not really been any major software updates or anything changed about it at all since so far back that I can't even remember. But I still think that it is pretty good bang for your buck if all you need is a router. You don't need any advanced security features, UTM or anything like that. It definitely has a lot of advanced features and it just works. It's one of those things that you set it up, you put it in place, and you just kind of forget about it. It does the job, and it does the job well. There are many different models of Edgerouter. Most popular is probably the Edgerouter X. It's the smallest of all of them. It can be powered with PoE, and it's also the cheapest of all of them. But there's other models like the Edgerouter X SFP, the PoE 5, and the Edgerouter 4. All of these I have right here on the desk. Now, there are other models out there, but there's one thing you need to know when selecting an Edgerouter model besides the performance statistics, and that is there's two different hardware types. One is Cavium, one is MediaTek. Now, this doesn't really make a huge difference, but it does mean that the hardware inside is just a little bit different. So, Edgerouters that are MediaTek based actually have a switch chip, and they use what's called a switch interface. So, every port on the MediaTek Edgerouters can be assigned to a switch interface, and that can use VLANs and whatnot, much like you would be used to using. Now, the Cavium-based devices, they do not have a switch chip. Everything is a pure routed port, so they do not have a switch interface, and if you're running VLANs on Cavium-based devices, then you're going to have to use basically sub-interfaces. And if you're familiar with switches versus routers in, say, like the Cisco world or something, this should make a little bit of sense to you. Pure routers use what's called sub-interfaces for VLAN routing, and switches use virtual switched interfaces for routing. But if you don't care about any of that, basically if you're going to want to connect a lot of devices to your Edgerouter and not use an external switch, get a MediaTek based device because it'll do switching better. But if you're using it for a pure router and you're going to be using an external switch and you don't care about any of that, then go with a Cavium based device. There really isn't that big of a difference, minus a few nuances here and there. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into setting this thing up. So first thing you want to do, obviously, plug the thing in, get it powered up. Now, the light indicator on it is going to either be white or blue. When it's first booting up, it'll show blue for a little bit and then turn solid white when it's ready to go. And this light really just indicates if it has a connection to the UNMS server. That is an optional piece of software from Ubiquiti. You don't have to have it to set this up or manage it or anything, but this indicator light will be blue if it is connected to one of those instances. Once the device is booted, we're just going to plug in our Ethernet cable into ETH0 on the Edgerouter 4 and then to our PC that we're going to be using to set it up with. Now, on the PC, we're going to want to do a little bit of custom IP configuration so that we can connect to our Edgerouter, because it doesn't run DHCP by default, so we have to manually put in a static IP address to communicate with it. So let's go ahead and change our IP settings. I'm using Windows 11 here, so I'm going to be using the new menus that I actually hate compared to the old ones. But anyways, let's go to Network and Internet Settings, Ethernet, and in my case I have two Ethernet adapters, but in your case you might just have one. We're going to go to this one that says Unidentified Network, and we're going to edit the IP assignment. We're going to change that from DHCP to manual, check IPv4, and give it an address like 192.168.1.5. As long as it's in the 192.168.1 network, we are fine, because that is where the default IP address for the Edgerouter lives. Now our gateway, we can just leave that blank, or if you really want to, you could put 192.168.1.1. That's the IP address of the Edgerouter by default. But since we're directly connected back to back, we really don't need that setting. We'll go ahead and save, and then open a web browser. And we're just going to type in 192.168.1.1 into our address bar. We're going to get a security warning about the SSL cert. Just go ahead and go past that. And we're met with our Edgerouter login page. Now it wants us to put in a username and password and accept the license agreement. So by default, the login information is UBNT and UBNT, all lowercase. Go ahead and agree to the license agreement and log in. Now we get a pop-up, says router is in default config. Do you want to start with basic setup wizard? We're going to click yes. I like to use the basic setup wizard just to get the thing off the ground and running. It does a lot of the basic settings for you, so you don't have to worry about manually doing all this. So first things first is your internet port. That's going to be ETH0. That's the port we're plugged into right now for configuration, but once we're done, that will become our internet or WAN interface. If you have any specific internet settings that you need to put in, do it in this section. Like if you have a static IP address from your ISP, go ahead and put that information in here. If you need a VLAN identifier, put that in. For this, I'm just going to use DHCP. This Edgerouter is just connected to an internal network, but we're going to pretend that it's the internet. And a lot of home networks at least have a DHCP connection. So this section is pretty much done. Now this next section called bridging, this is specific to Cavium devices because they don't have a switch chip. This is basically just saying, do you want to bridge all the LAN interfaces to a single network? And on the Edgerouter 4, all we have is 2 LAN interfaces. We got Ethernet 1 and Ethernet 2. If we check this, it's going to put both of those interfaces on the same subnet and bridge the two. Now, the caveat is that there will be a performance impact since it's doing the task of a switch in software. That is the hardware difference between Cavium and MediaTek. MediaTek can do it in hardware, Cavium has to do it in software, so switching between 2 ports is going to have a performance hit. We're going to go ahead and leave that off. We're just going to configure ETH1 for our network and assume that we're using an external switch of some sort. So now let's go down to the LAN section. This is going to be the IP address of the actual Edgerouter itself. By default, 192.168.1.1. We can change this if we want. I like to, so we're going to use something like 192.168.10.1. If you're unsure about network addressing or subnets in general, leave this 192.168.1.1, but I just like to have something different. And we're going to leave DHCP checked. This will automatically create a DHCP server for this subnet. If you have an external one already running somewhere else, you can go ahead and uncheck that, but be aware you're not going to get any addresses directly from your Edgerouter if you do that. Now the next section is the second LAN port. We're not going to worry about that for now, but if you do want a second local area network, you can go ahead and change the subnet here if you wish. The exact same rules as ETH1 apply. And then lastly, it's the user setup. So this is going to be your basically root user or management user that you will use to log in to the web interface and change settings on the Edgerouter. By default, it's UBNT and UBNT. You can keep the existing user if you would like. I don't think it'll yell at you for keeping UBNT, but always it is good to create a brand new user. So we're just going to create one called like Toasty and give it a password. So if you're practicing best security, you don't really want this to be either the default or admin or something like that. So we'll make our own up. And I just used a very simple password for mine, but obviously use something pretty complex for yours. Now once all of this is complete, we'll just go ahead and click apply. It's going to give us this pop-up saying that your configuration will be applied and it'll reboot the Edgerouter. And it says that you need to connect to the client device to one of the LAN ports. So we have our computer plugged into Ethernet 0 right now for configuration, but once this reboots, we're going to want to have it on Ethernet 1 because that's our LAN interface. So we're going to go ahead, click apply changes. It says it's been applied successfully, and then we click reboot. It asks you if you're sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Go ahead and click that, and we will reboot. Now in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and move our connection from ETH0 to ETH1 and wait for the device to come back up. And once our device is back online, our light is solid white, and we have a little bit of link activity lights going on, we'll go ahead and try to log back in to the management page. Now we changed our LAN subnet and the IP address of the Edgerouter itself, so we are no longer accessing it on 1.1. which means that we're going to have to get rid of our static IP configuration that we put on this computer. So let's go back to our network settings, edit the IP assignment of our Ethernet adapter, and we're going to change that from manual to automatic DHCP and click save. Now we should pick up an IP address from the Edgerouter on that new subnet that we made. Unfortunately, I feel like Windows doesn't show it to you here. But if we open a command prompt and just type in ipconfig, then we can see my second adapter got an IP address of 10.38, which is on the subnet we configured for our Edgerouter. So let's go ahead and go back to our web browser and change this from 1.1 to 10.1. Go ahead and click enter, go past the SSL cert warning, and then log in using the new username and password you set up. So mine was just Toasty with a super simple password. Now, when we log in, we're actually greeted with the full dashboard, and we can go ahead and do some further setup if we would like to. Basically, this is now good to plug into the internet and have a connection. When we went through the basic setup wizard, that created us some firewall rules. So if we go to firewall/NAT, firewall policies, you can see we have a WAN in and a WAN local rule already created. This is what prevents traffic from coming in from the internet and accessing your local network directly, and it allows any traffic that's being generated from the inside of your network to connect to external sites and services. So now let's go ahead and connect our internet port. I'm just going to plug it into Ethernet 0, and we can see that interface come up. We haven't got an IP address yet, but once we do, we can see if we can access the internet. And now we have our IP address from our internet device, and we should be able to access anything on the internet. Looks like this loads just fine, but if we want to go to like youtube.com, boom, there we go, it works. So our Edgerouter is good to go. We can plop it in wherever connected to the internet and an external switch and have connections. Now I did overlook one default rule that setup made for us, and that is firewall/NAT and NAT. It did automatically put masquerade for WAN, so you do have NAT applied to the WAN interface, which wouldn't be there, I don't believe, if you didn't go through that basic setup wizard. Now, the last thing is probably the most important for a lot of people, and that is enabling hardware offloading. And this is where the Cavium versus MediaTek differences initially show themselves for most people. So, by default, the throughput of an Edgerouter is actually pretty abysmal when compared to other devices, and that is because they come from the factory with hardware offloading not enabled. Don't know why, but if you did a speed test on a brand new Edgerouter X straight out of the box, you're probably only going to see about 300 megabits per second. And I've done some test videos on this in the past. You can go look at those if you'd like. But to get around this, we have to enable hardware offloading, and that just forces many of the features and traffic to use the built-in ASICs instead of the processor. And to do that, we're going to go to CLI in the top right corner here. It's going to ask us to log in, so we're just going to use the username and password that we just set up to get into the command line here. And we're going to issue a few commands, which will depend on the model of Edgerouter we have. So this is why this is typically the first encounter you have with Cavium versus MediaTek. And that is because on this Edgerouter 4, we need to do the following commands to enable hardware offloading. And I'll leave a link in the description below to Ubiquiti's article on this. They lay out all the commands that you need, and they also list which devices are Cavium, which devices are MediaTek, so you know which commands you need to use. But for this one, we need to do first configure to enter configuration mode, and then set system offload IPv4 forwarding enable, set system offload IPv4 GRE enable, PPPoE enable, VLAN enable, and bonding enable, although it says that's not valid on this one. Now if you care about IPv6, I typically don't, but if you do, you can set system offload IPv6 forwarding enable, IPv6 PPPoE enable, and IPv6 VLAN enable. And we also get an error saying that IPv6 PPPoE must be disabled for the VLAN offload. So some of these can't be enabled at the same time as others. If you're not using a PPPoE connection, just don't even worry about that command. Really, the forwarding and VLAN commands are the most important, as well as IPsec if you are using VPNs, which is the last command we'll do. Set system offload IPsec enable. And then the most important part, once you're done putting these commands in, do commit. That actually pushes the changes to the Edgerouter, and you're going to get a warning because we're doing this in the web interface that we did some command line interfaces that will conflict with what you see in the web interface, so we have to refresh the page. And then second most important is after you commit your changes, save them. So just type save. And now our Edgerouter 4 is set up with hardware offloading. Now if you have a MediaTek based device such as the Edgerouter X, things are actually a lot simpler for you. You just have to do set system offload HWNAT enable, which the Edgerouter 4 is not going to accept because it doesn't have that hardware to use that command. But all you have to do on the Edgerouter X is that command plus set system offload IPsec enable. And those are your only two commands that you need for the MediaTek based devices. So if you follow the guide, you get in there and it starts telling you that all the commands you're trying to put in aren't valid. You're probably using the commands for the wrong hardware version. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover is the reset button. On all the videos I make about the Edgerouter, I always get comments about the reset button. And the way I've explained it before is that the reset button doesn't work like other off-the-shelf routers because it resets your device to factory and makes it unable to work. Now, the way that that is worded makes it sound like if you use your reset button, you're going to break your device. It's never going to work again. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean that you have to go back through all of this initial setup if you reset it to factory defaults. So once it's plugged in and in place, and Ethernet 0 is plugged into your internet, Ethernet 1 is plugged into your local network, if you hold down the reset button, it is going to set it back to where Ethernet 0 is your setup interface. So you'll have to go back in, connect your configuration PC to ETH0, do that basic setup wizard, and just start over from scratch. It doesn't make your router unusable or anything like that. It's just the fact that this router requires setup before it can actually work. Then you can kind of shoot yourself in the foot by using the reset button if you expect it to behave differently. So I know way back when you bought a router from Walmart, it comes out of the box with the internet port with DHCP and your LAN ports with 192.168.1.1 and DHCP enabled. So if you hold the reset button on a device like that, it resets it back to that factory default setting, which is still usable. That's just not true on this one. Hopefully that makes sense and makes that a little bit more clear. But anyways, that is really all you need to do to get your Edgerouter off the ground and running. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. As always, happy networking.